Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, June 30th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy will be along momentarily as well. And we're joined by a special guest who's been with us a couple of times already on the Ice Guys in recent weeks. Grant Arnold back with us on the show. Alex, we'll start with you. How are you feeling? And are you ready for Game 2 tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting game one. Like I said, I kind of thought there was going to be a closer pace between these two clubs. But like I said, the X factor of Tampa Bay is that they can turn their offense up at any given time. And that's exactly what they did, pouring it on in the last 40 minutes. Grateful to be able to cash with the second period over that I had. That's a trend that's been rolling, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. But, this is a must-win game now for Montreal, as crazy as that sounds, in Game 2. But you do not want to go down 2-0 and give Tampa Bay this kind of momentum. Not so much just down 2-0, but Tampa Bay gets off the same kind of momentum like they did in Game 1. That's going to be troubling, even if they are going back home. So we're in for what should be an interesting contest once again tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Game 1 was just, and just as a recap there, I thought, Game 1 was pretty much, we saw Montreal, I think just kind of like the Vegas series, it's a different opponent. It's definitely a much taller order because look, we saw it again in the last game. You've got four lines that can all strike offensively. Vegas barely had one line that could strike offensively because the one line that they were relying on was that Golden Knights top trio of Pacioretty, Stone, and Stevenson when he got back into the series, and even they got shut down and they didn't get much depth as well. So that's going to be the trouble here for Montreal. Can they match up against that four lines? And I've said this is the biggest issue, I think, for Montreal tonight and moving forward in this series. They're playing the hell out of them, playing a fuck ton, if you will, out of these four defensemen: Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, Joel Edmondson, Ben Sherratt. And they're barely playing Gustafsson and Merrill. They're 5'6" defensemen. They only got like 9 minutes the other night, and you're seeing like teens and low 20s for all the other defensemen. That's going to add up. This is now the fourth round of the playoffs. You've played a bunch of games now, and eventually you've either got to give Merrill and Gustafsson more ice time, or you got to put someone in there that you trust more, to play more minutes than you've played your 5'6" defenseman right now. Like, where's Romanov? This is a guy that they're very high on him as a young defenseman. He's physical. I know he's young. You're worried about mistakes, but you're clearly worried about Merrill and Gustafsson because you're not playing these guys. They're barely out there for 9 minutes, and you're wearing your top 4D into the ice at this point. And I worry that if it keeps on this trajectory where they're playing all these minutes and you're only playing your 5'6" defenseman barely 9-10 minutes, it's going to add up, especially when you've got waves of four-line wave that Tampa Bay throws at you throughout the game. It does concern me a little bit, and I'm interested to see how Montreal manages that blue line in terms of ice time moving forward. Grant, what were your thoughts on Game 1 of this series?
I thought Montreal, I rewatched the condensed game a little bit, doing my kind of game analysis on some things, and I was actually really surprised. My eyes kind of played a trick on me in Game 1 when I was watching it live. It was a closer game than the score was. And that I really think about that with Weber hitting the post early on that offensive zone draw, and then Weber having a great A opportunity on a breakaway, which is odd to see, but he gets out there and makes a shot. You can't blame him for making the shot. I would have liked him to make a deke. I thought it was kind of a rushed play, but it's Shea Weber on a breakaway against Vasilevsky, so I'd rather have him get a shot off anyway. And then the other thing I thought about watching the game was, gosh, I really noticed Tampa's experience, Tampa's toughness, Tampa's mental strength. It was an example to me of why this team won the Stanley Cup last year in the bubble. I think this is a really close-knit group. I think they play really hard. Not that Montreal doesn't. Any team that gets to the Stanley Cup Finals, you're going to be a tight-knit group, and you're going to play a successful system. And when I look at it, Montreal made a couple really bad errors, not getting the puck deep. And as I look at the Game 1, if Montreal is going to win a game this series, if they're going to win multiple games this series, there's no question they can. There's no question they can win multiple games this series, but they got to get that puck deep at all times. It's just one of those things. You're Montreal. You're not this high-powered offense that's going to be scoring goals, skating like Colorado would with Vegas or with the Tampa, and we're going north and south, back and forth. get the puck deep, establish your forecheck. And really, I mean, you got to bang on those D-men every time you get as Montreal. They did it successfully at times. They had some great shifts. I thought Josh Anderson played well. I think they need to step up with their bigger forwards with Perry and Stahl. But overall, I thought game one was closer than it looked on the scoreboard. And I think Montreal, if they make the right adjustments, we might have a hell of a series here.
Yeah, I still think we could have a series. Tonight's going to play a big part in whether we have an extended and lengthy and competitive series. Because if Montreal, I'm not saying, usually you always say you're not in trouble until you lose a home game in a series, right? And maybe you can say that if they fall down 2-0 in the series and they lose tonight, and maybe they can go back to Montreal and regroup. But Tampa Bay has shown they can win road playoff games. They've shown you that the last 2 years. And the other thing is, if you lose tonight, if you're Montreal, you put yourselves in a spot where you're going to have to go 4-1 in the next 5 games to win this series against Tampa Bay. And when's the last time Tampa Bay's gone 1-4 in a stretch of 5 games? Regular season and playoffs combined. Good luck finding one. That's what you're up against if you don't win tonight. So that's the trouble with losing tonight. If you're Montreal, you put yourselves in a spot where you're going to have to win 4 of the next 5 games against a Tampa Bay Lightning team that, like I say, where's the stretch of 5 games where they've gone 1-4 or 0-5? You haven't seen it very often, if at all. So that's why this is such a big game tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. You're right, Grant. Excellent point about the freaking turnovers at the blue line. Absolutely killed them in a couple of those goals. You just can't feed a team with that transition skill level that they have. When you're giving them opportunities to, when your defense can't get set, you can't have 5 guys above the puck. That's where you run into trouble. And those turnovers at the blue lines lead to that. We saw that from Montreal. And I'll say one last thing about game one. Tampa Bay was the better team. They deserved to win. Full marks to them, no question. But I do think Montreal will be better tonight in game 2. But I couldn't believe how much violence and how much hatred there was for Brendan Gallagher the other night for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, this guy, I know sometimes he's one of those guys, like there's many of these forwards in the league where they're poking at the goalie after the whistle blows and, it infuriates the team and they want to, pound his head through the ice essentially. But there were times he wasn't doing that. Like the whistle would blow, he's just standing there and you're still seeing Coleman and Sergachev and Killorn, who's not playing tonight, by the way, and some of these other Lightning players just going after Gallagher and just, basically pushing him down to the ice. And you saw the one moment where Sergachev, roughed him up and his helmet fell off and his head almost hit the ice. It was just the forehead, but it could have been a lot worse, which is what produced the blood and the crimson mask on Gallagher's face. But it could have been a lot worse if that's his head or his skull, that's cracking against the ice there without a helmet on. So they have definitely I think there's obviously been a focus. We've got to make sure we keep Gallagher away from the front of the net. But I thought it was a little above and beyond what they did the other night against Brendan Gallagher particularly. But look, and it was a much more physical game one than I thought. So it'll be interesting to see if that carries over as well into game 2 tonight. With that in mind, let's turn our attention to game 2 tonight of the Stanley Cup Final. Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I said, an imperative game for Montreal. They're in the same boat, guys, that they were in after game 1 in Vegas. I'm already seeing it. People writing off Montreal. This is now the end of the road for the Montreal Canadiens. And I remember people saying that sentiment about the Montreal Canadiens after the Vegas game 1 loss. That this is it for them. That they're finally going to bow out here at this time. But I would caution you and just say, can we see game 2 first before we jump on that train of thought? Right now, Tampa Bay minus 200 home favorites here in game 2. The total 5 shaded to the over in this game. I'm going to stick with the same 2 bets that I was on the other night. Montreal first period, Montreal full game money line. I do think we will see a much, much, much better effort and performance from the Montreal Canadiens. A lot of things that are going for them. Number 1, Yoel Armia will be back on the 4th line. And I think that 4th line will be better. There's something just off timing with Jake Evans, with Corey Perry and Eric Stahl on that top line. I think you're going to see a lot more of that, chemistry with that group back now with Yoel Armia back on the ice and in the lineup tonight for game 2. You're going to need, obviously, I think, a greater net front presence against Vasilevsky. And I think Montreal got a rude awakening, too, in game 1, guys. And I said it coming into the series, previewing it. Tampa Bay is a shot-blocking machine. there's something you have to do. And Montreal's got to make the adjustment. You can't just shoot the puck right away because oftentimes it's going into shin pads, it's going into skates, it's going into, feet and block, and guys dive into block shots. You got to fake the shot, get the defenseman or the forward going to block the shot to commit, and then that's going to open up ice to make a play or shoot the puck and get it through to the net. And Montreal's got to be a little bit more patience and poise with the puck, essentially, will lead to that. So that's what I want to see from. They were just too much of a rush to shoot the puck immediately. And Tampa Bay's just been so unbelievable in this series blocking shots. So that's an adjustment they have to make. As far as Tampa Bay goes, I thought they got the puck cycling in the offensive zone a ton in game one. They got Montreal's heads on a swivel. And that goes back to the point where, look, if these four defensemen, Petrie, Weber, Edmondson, and Sherratt, are playing a lot, and you've got to constantly move your feet to try to defend this Tampa Bay team because they go side to side with the puck in the offensive zone, that's going to take a toll physically on a team, on a group of defensemen that's already played a shit ton of minutes here in these playoffs. So I think you've got to somehow try to get more out of your 5-6D, Merrill and Gustafson, and if not, get a Romanov in there. Put someone in there that you'll play a little bit more, because I thought Montreal, and to Melissa Cunningham's point, good to see her back in the hope you enjoyed your vacation. She's right. Tampa looked a step too fast in game one for Montreal. So that's definitely, and I think in terms of how do you defend that, well, you keep everybody above the puck. You make sure you're in good position. And more than anything, you make sure you cut off those seam passes, because that's what gets that fast. It's not just fast skating. We always say, oh, they're fast, they're fast. It's not just skating speed, right? It's thinking speed. It's moving the puck speed, passing, all of that. That's part of the speed and how fast a team can play as well. So I think Montreal will make some adjustments. And keep in mind, Luke Richardson, he knows a thing or two about sturdy, solid defense in his own zone. That's his game as an NHL defenseman way back in the day. So I think there'll be some big time, tips, strategies, whatever you want to call it, how to better defend Tampa Bay going into game two tonight. We have to talk about the Alex Killorn absence, which is significant. He's played well in these playoffs. It's juggling the lineup now, so that's always a concern, especially with Tampa, the way things are starting to roll for them for now. But I like that they've got Tyler Johnson taking his spot in the second line. I've talked about it the last couple of games. He's been more noticeable. He's had more chances. I like Tyler Johnson to score a goal tonight. He's one of the goal scorer props I like. He had chances in game one, and he wasn't even on the third line or on the second line in that game. Now he's going to move up to the second line tonight to take the spot of Killorn. What's that mean? More minutes, I think more opportunity, potential for more scoring chances. So I think Tyler Johnson's one of the better value goal scorer props tonight, in my opinion, for the Tampa Bay Lightning in this game. Matthew Joseph will be on the fourth line because obviously you've got to find someone to insert into the lineup without Killorn. And Matthew Joseph's a good player. He'll be fine on that fourth line. They're not putting some stiff in there. And that's the beauty of Tampa Bay with the depth they have. Matthew Joseph can play. He's played a lot of regular season games for them. He's been effective enough. I think he'll play well for the Lightning tonight in that fourth line. But I do think Montreal tonight, and for Carey Price, the defense, I think, Toffoli, Caulfield, guys like that are going to have to step up offensively tonight. And I think they've got the potential to do so, and just adjust your offensive thought process, and that maybe wait a second or two before you let the puck go, to shot fake or get around the shot blocker, because the blocked shots for Tampa Bay, the number of shots that they're blocking is through the roof. And the adjustment has to be on the offensive side. You've got to somehow make them commit to blocking the shot and then make some kind of play with the puck to get around that. And if Montreal can do that, they'll have some more chances and possibly more offensive success tonight. I think they'll play a better game. They've been consistently a team that has risen to the occasion, that has responded to adversity like they did after game one against Vegas, and they played their best game. Now, this is their toughest opponent of the playoffs. There is no question. But I think they've got it in them to bring their best tonight and have a shot to take this game two and take this series back to Montreal, split one game apiece. So I'm going to go Montreal first period around plus 165, and also go with that Montreal full game money line plus 175, half and half on both. For goal scorers, I like Caulfield for Montreal. I think he was a guy that kind of didn't have a good game the other night. One of those turnovers was his. I think that's incentive for him. I've got to be better. I know I'm a rookie. I'm still learning as we go. but I think that's incentive for him to get going. Tyler Toffoli, like I said, even though he didn't score in game one, I'm going to be betting him most games to score because he's got that Stanley Cup Final experience playing on the big stage for the LA Kings. I like him from a goal scorer prop. Point and Tyler Johnson would probably be the two Tampa Bay players I would look at in terms of scoring a goal. Again, Johnson's those situations I like with goal scorer props, guys. A guy that is going to be moved up the lineup, get more minutes, more ice time, more responsibility, probably more chances, and it's not going to be reflected in the goal scorer prop price. So Tyler Johnson and Point for Tampa, and my two favorite goal scorer props for Montreal are Cole Caulfield and Tyler Toffoli tonight for the Canadiens. Maybe even Josh Anderson too, because I thought physically he was involved in game one, and maybe he can get that third line, give them some pop from that third line where he's playing with Kotkaniemi and Paul Byron on that third line for Montreal. So that's what I'm looking at. I would lean over with the total, but I think Alex might have the best thought in terms of overs in this series. Maybe just look at that second period, because I'm sure he'll get to it in just a second. The second period overs have been a very good bet here as of late. Alex, what do you think here? Game two, Canadiens Lightning.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm definitely running back with the second period over. You can get that over 1.5 goals, minus $1.25 or minus $1.30 if you shop around. Like I said, that's a widely available prop or bet, I should say, that's available at most American books and offshores as well. Like I said, this is just a trend that has been growing with both clubs. One, I mean, numerically, statistically, it's been with Montreal. 7 of the last 9 games have gone over in the second period. 12-5 now throughout the postseason. But the reason I back it is not so much their adjustments, it's Tampa Bay's adjustments. They're the best team in the league at making adjustments between periods. And we saw that in game one where it looked like it could have been 5 or 6 chances between both teams in that second period. It could have gone in. And the way that Montreal plays, like I said, they like to try to slow things down. They want to get the first goal and then try to bleed things out. That's their style of play, where Tampa Bay, they play with a lot more pace. They want to try and get as many goals as possible and just put you away as early as they can. So I think we're going to see the same pattern happen in the first 40 minutes of play, a slower first period, more physical. The physicality, we saw that ramped up, obviously, in the third period. You're going to see that when it's a blowout score, like a 4-1, 5-1. The hatred's going to brew sooner than later. So I think we're going to see more physicality, which could lead to some power plays early. But I think that the best opportunity to get goals for both clubs will be in that second period once they make their adjustments going back into the locker room. So that's the play that I like. I'm also leaning toward the draw here at plus 330. I could definitely see this being, like I said, where Tampa Bay has a lead, but like I said, Montreal, they kind of know what to do late in the game. I think, like I said, you got to take away the speed and the fact that they're already, game twos are a lot different than game ones. And Grant, you can probably attest to this, being a former player, where you're situated in now. You've had the game, you had a day off, so their legs are a bit more comfortable, a bit more under them, where they can keep pace. Obviously, like I said, the talent wise is going to be tough, but the pace of play, they should be able to keep that going throughout the full 60-minute contest. So if it's a 3-2 game close, I wouldn't be shocked to see Montreal pot one in and we see this game go to OT. So I'm going to have that as well. Regulation draw. Remember, regulation draw, not the yes-no prop, because you're probably going to get about a 30-cent difference to your advantage if you go with the regulation draw. I got it at plus 330. I'm going with that along with the second period over 1.5 at minus $1.25.
All right, there we go. So the two official plays for Alex B. Smith: second period over 1.5 goals, minus 125, and that regulation draw plus 330 on that. Maybe a little overtime tonight between the Canadiens and the Lightning. I do think it'll be a close game. Montreal plus 1.5. I think I'll probably have a sprinkle on that as well, just to be safe. That way, if Tampa wins the game by exactly 1 goal, you cash that. The price is reasonable with that. I think it was minus 145 or so the last I checked with that Montreal plus 1.5 goals tonight on the puck line in this game. I'm definitely interested in that one a little bit. So Alex liking the second period over and the regulation draw. And it's true. I mean, the totals are tough because 5 with 2 elite goalies, but Montreal had trouble defending Tampa. I'm worried about the minutes adding up big time for the big 4 defensemen of Montreal. And if they continue to get worn down and in the pit of my stomach, I'm worried about that a little bit. That's why I'm hesitant with the under, because if they're feeling it and they're worn and they don't have the legs to, deal with Tampa a little bit, that's not good if you like under, necessarily in this series. So it's a fascinating thing to analyze, I guess, when it comes to the total, just how that blue line, they've played a lot of minutes for Montreal, especially the big four. Is it going to catch up to them throughout this series? Grant, we'll turn it to you now. What do you think here? What do you like for game 2 tonight?
Alex, I love that. I love that draw. I think that's draw in regulation. I think, just as you said, I think you made some good comments on game 2, how much different they are than game 1. And I think a big part of that for Montreal tonight, you talked about pace a little bit too. For Montreal, they have to control the pace for this game to be successful in Montreal's favor, which obviously you go, how do they control the pace? Well, they don't have nearly the skating or skill that Tampa has. How do they control the pace? Like I said earlier, you have to get the puck deep at all times if you're Montreal. At all times. Ian, you touched on it too with the block shots in Tampa. They're clogging the middle, and they're deeper back there on D. So they're, Hedman plays a shitload of minutes, but they are deeper than Montreal on D, and they're blocking shots. So to establish the pace, you get the puck deep, you bang on their D-men, and then something that I saw, it was Montreal's goal that they scored actually, where you get the puck low to high. You get that puck in deep, you hit that D-man, cause that puck to jar loose, and then bring that puck back up to your D-man on the high side. So you dump it low, bring it back up high, and then you get your ass to the front of the net. And you saw it was a ping pong ball that went in for Montreal. But those are the kind of goals. It's a lucky goal, but at the same time, they get that puck in. They win a few puck battles. I think Josh Anderson was one of them, playing with that big body, winning puck battles, getting that puck up. And you got Shea Weber back there and multiple other guys that can score the puck and shoot it. Let them shoot it and get to the front and hope for a bounce. And like I said, it's a lucky goal, but at the same time, it takes a lot of work to get to that. And then the Gallagher thing I thought was pretty funny. Ian, Gallagher, to me, he reminds me, he's just one of those rat type players, like a Marchand. Yanni Gord's got just a touch of that in his game too. And I say a rat, but I mean that in a compliment in a lot of ways. Like, that's a guy you want on your team. He's a smaller player, but he's gritty. He's going to chirp. He's always talking shit to everyone. He's small enough where, maroon guy is not going to fight him, or like the bigger, heavier guys on your team. And you're not going to see a lot of fights in the Stanley Cup Finals in general. But Gallagher, he did his role, and then I think Tampa was like, none of this shit, dude. This isn't going to work. We're going to show you that, hey, we're going to throw you on your head if we have to. And they did. And then the other thing for Gallagher, it was a tough game. He got his dome split open, and then he turns the puck over for the goal that I talked about earlier. And as a Montreal player and a coach, to see an energy guy, an emotional leader guy like that, Gallagher, turn the puck over, and then they go in and score. He gets his head split open. It's just a sour taste in your mouth. I expect Gallagher to have a really good game tonight. I expect, whether that's scoring goals, whether that's talking shit, whether that's disrupting, doing whatever he can. He's one of those guys that's a gamer. And I say that rat comment, I mean that as a compliment. And then the other thing, I'm going to go back to the same bet that I did in game 1, which was Tampa and under 6.5 combo. So Tampa has to win and under 6.5 goals. I got it at minus 105. It's one of those things where I think Tampa has the experience tonight, and that's really going to show. And I think Montreal is going to muck this game up as much as possible. Get the puck deep, bang bodies, Gallagher, Perry, Stahl, Weber, all of these guys doing what they can to kind of slow this pace of this game down and really get gritty. I think Tampa will answer the call. But as kind of the theme here, I do believe Montreal will make some really good adjustments. I think Carey Price will stand on his head somewhat. It's tough to do, but I think he's going to play great. And I really like that Tampa win under 6.5. And then my goal scoring prop tonight, I like Tyler Johnson a ton. Clutch player, been with Coop for a long time. A lot of these guys have played in the A with Coop, played in the Stanley Cup with Coop, won a couple rings, or ring with Coop, or in the A if you want to count that. I like Yanni Gord tonight to score. I think he's one of those guys just like Gallagher, kind of that gritty, smaller, shit-talking guy. That's a guy that you want on your team. He's a gamer. I got that at plus 275. So those are the two bets I'm looking at tonight. I think Montreal responds. I think Tampa just has a little bit more tonight. And like you said, Ian, I'm a big believer in you haven't lost anything till you lose a home game. This one sure seems like Montreal needs to get it, as we've said, but I like Tampa tonight.
All right, I like the idea of what you're looking for there with Tampa Bay and under, a combination bet there, which you can do now at many books. So Tampa Bay and under 6.5. So both have to win. Tampa Bay's got to win the game, and the game has to stay under 6.5. Grant liking that. I like the value, pushing that total up to 6.5 too with that under. And then Tyler Johnson to score, Yanni Gourde to score for goal scorer props for Grant in this game as well. And we all agree Montreal's going to make adjustments and be better. There's no question. This will be a better Montreal team tonight. The question is it better enough? And is it better enough for them to tie up this series at 1 game apiece and send it back to Montreal for Game 3, tied at 1 for Friday night? It looks like we've got Jimmy with us. Jimmy Murphy joining us here via transit. Jimmy, glad you could make it with us. What do you think of Game 2? And also, what did you think of Game 1 with the Canadiens and the Lightning?
Well, first of all, I think I'm hot as balls right now, guys. This is disgusting out here in Massachusetts right now. 98 degrees with a heat index of 105.
Wow.
Like, I got the
That's
AC
crazy.
blasting in the car.
Have fun with that.
I'm on the Mass Pike, and I'm still hot. Yeah, I'm still hot. But first of all, Game 1, I mean, look, it reminded me a lot of Game 1 against Vegas, guys. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it looked a lot like that. Vegas, destroyed Montreal in Game 1, and then the Canadiens bounced back in Game 2. So the one thing I'd say that worries me, though, and I think you guys will agree, is Tampa Bay isn't the Vegas Golden Knights, and it's not the type of team that you can take the chance to feel out in Game 1 and say, okay, you know what, we'll suck it up and take a loss in Game 1 and bounce. You can't do that against Tampa Bay. And that's why they really need to be careful right now. And I like what Grant was saying, that you got to go up and you got to stick to your game plan right now, but that game plan needs to be adjusted. And I think he's exactly right when you say dump and chase. That's the key for Montreal. Tampa Bay out-Montrealed the Canadiens in my eyes the other day when they were trying, they were successfully getting goals and offense off the rush. Montreal can't do that against Tampa Bay. So they need to adjust, and they need to go back to a dump and chase, get it in there in the corners, put a big guy like a Josh Anderson or Tyler Toffoli in front, and get that puck out in the middle there and drive Vasilevsky nuts if you can. That's the only way I see them winning tonight, but I think they can do that. And I like the resilience they've proven before. They have it. They can do it. I like the Canadiens.
Man, Jimmy with that he likes Montreal, the bottom line. If you've been watching Jimmy, like it's you're not splitting the atom figuring out what Jimmy Murphy's liking in the game tonight. He likes Montreal. He liked them in the series from the beginning. I think he picked them at 6, if I'm not mistaken, in the series. So he likes them to bounce back. They're resilient. I agree. I like them to bounce back. If they lose tonight, and they not only lose, but they lose like 4-1, 5-1, like they did in Game 1, then I'm going to start rethinking my position and saying maybe they're worn out. After this great Cinderella run and the whole Cinderella slipper has come off the foot, or the clock is about to strike midnight. Yeah, that's what I could start thinking if they get pummeled again tonight. But I'm going to need to see them get dominated and pummeled and lose tonight before I fully believe it, because you're right. As Jimmy was saying, I think we got him back. Resilience has been the name of the game for Montreal in these playoffs. Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'm going through a bad zone there. But I'll say, to make it quick, in case you lose me again, yeah, I like the Canadiens. I like the draw here. I like it to go to overtime. I like the Canadiens to steal one in overtime here. But again, I'm not as confident as I was heading into Game 2 of the semifinal as I am. Tampa's just a different team, and they're so dynamic, and I think they can beat you in any type of game right now. And obviously, Vasilevsky is one of the best goalies out there, if not the best. And what scared me the most in Game 1 was I thought Carey Price stood on his head in Game 1, and they still got smoked. So that's not a great sign. So they're going to have to dig deep right now, but I do think they can take this series back, tied at 1 in Montreal.
All right, there we go. So Jimmy's going to take a shot here, Montreal, to get the job done, and also a little on the regulation draw as well at that plus 330. And Alex likes that one, that maybe we could see some overtime tonight and a much tighter, more competitive game between the Canadiens and the Lightning tonight. So it should be a fascinating game. That is your look at Game 2. Thanks to Alex and Jimmy, of course, and our special guest, Grant Arnold. We'll get to best bets in just a second. And best bet can be side, total, player prop, anything on the game tonight. Everything's on the table when it comes to what you want to go with for your best bet tonight. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, a reminder, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN, NHL, NBA playoffs, MLB daily at this time of year. Football season, it's going to be here. It's a month away. I can't wait. I'm already vast into NFL and college prep for the football season, and I'm excited. I'm expecting a damn good football season. I'm putting in the work now so that it can result in the profits come the fall, and I'm looking forward to football for sure. So no better time to sign up for DraftKings than right now. When you download the app and sign up for an account, you'll get bet boosts, deposit bonuses, weekly specials, weekly incentives as well. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN. And a reminder, we have an Ice Guys Betcast for Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final next Monday, July the 5th, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We will be on the air for Game 4. Same as always. Bring your adult beverages, your booze, your liquor, your shots, even if water, if you're not into that kind of thing, whatever. Bet the game live. We're going to watch the game. This could be the last betcast of the season, to be honest with you. I'm not sure we'll have one for Game 5, Game 6, Game 7. It's just the way it's scheduled. Wednesday's a tough night for me. Fridays is the beginning of the weekend. I don't normally like putting them on that. So it could be our last betcast of the season on Monday night for Game 4 of this series, but make sure you join us. We will be here for Game 4, live betting, live sides, live totals, live goal scorer props, next team to score, and Alex is a master of those live props these days with the next team to score props. So we'll do all of that during Game 4 Monday night with the next Ice Guys Stanley Cup Playoff Betcast. So make sure you join us for that. All right, it is time for best bets. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for your best bet tonight?
Yeah, you mentioned getting ready for college football. I just got this in the mail over the weekend, so definitely getting ready for that.
The old Phil Steele. Wouldn't be college football season prep without Phil Steele's magazine now, would it?
It's the official start of summer once you get one of those in your hands for sure. So definitely looking forward to football coming up. But we got hockey tonight, and I'm going to roll with the same best bet I had in Game 1. It's the second period over, 1.5, minus $1.25. Might be minus $1.30 in some shops. I still like it at that price. This is just a hot run we're seeing, against the numbers. 7-2 last night with Montreal. Talked about the adjustments that Tampa Bay can make. Like I said, I think it's going to be a slow starting first, more of a feeling out process, some physicality taking place, and then we're going to see the floodgates open up offensively in that second frame. So I'm going with Montreal, Tampa Bay, second period over is my best bet tonight.
All right, second period over, 1.5, minus 125, best bet for Alex B. Smith. Grant, what do you got for best? People in the chat loving your analysis again, so a great job as always. Grant, what do you think about your best bet tonight?
For my best bet tonight, I'm going same bet I did as Game 1. It's a combo of two bets. It's Tampa Bay to win and under 6.5 at minus 105. You can get it at most books. I hope you can get it if you're listening at your book. The reason I really like this is because, as I said, I think Montreal is going to muck this game up and try to slow it down, try to get in the corners, try to get to the crease, and Tampa is going to adjust well. And they're going to do the right things, and I think they're going to bang a couple goals home, and hopefully we see a 3-1, maybe 3-2 score. And that's where I'm going with tonight. I really think Tampa, again, they show why they're a Stanley Cup champion. They show their depth. Tyler Johnson steps up. Smith steps up. And everyone else on the team, they know how to win. I think they execute at a high level tonight.
All right, there we go. A Grant Arnold with Tampa Bay and under 6.5, minus 105 for his best bet here for Game 2. Mine is going to be, I'm going to win or lose. We're going to rock one more time with the Montreal Canadiens tonight. I'm just going to go with the full game money line. Let's take a shot here. Let's have some fun. It's Game 2. It's the Stanley Cup Final. Let's take the plunge here with Montreal plus 175. A full game money line tonight in Game 2 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I do expect they'll be a lot better. I do expect this will be a much tougher game for Tampa Bay. And keep in mind, no Alex Killorn. Tyler Johnson will be fine on that line. In fact, I think he'll play well. I think he'll score because I like that goal scorer prop as well, Tyler Johnson. But still, it's still a little bit of a shift in all the lines. Second line's a little bit different. The fourth line now is going to be a little bit different. So there could be some adjustments there that have to come into play tonight. And I think you get a much better game from Montreal. And I think Carey Price didn't say he was all that thrilled or he actually did say he wasn't all that thrilled with his game in game one. So I think he'll be a lot better. And let's see if Montreal can get their depth, their scoring showing up, get more chances, put more pucks at the net. Again, avoid the shot blockers. That's the key. And the other thing, can that big four defense hold up and be sturdier tonight against that Tampa Bay four-line relentless forecheck? That's going to be the question tonight. But I'll believe in them because they rallied big time in game two against Vegas. I know Tampa Bay is better than Vegas, but let's see if Montreal can rally the troops one more time tonight. Montreal plus 175 tonight for me in game two with my best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. Well, it's not live 7 days a week anymore. I've got to stop the outro. I've got to change the script a little bit. We are normally 7 days a week on YouTube, but of course now we're only on during the days of the games in the Stanley Cup Final. But note that our next show is actually going to be tomorrow, 2:00 p.m. Eastern time. We'll recap tonight's game and we'll do our Game 3 preview show tomorrow, and then we'll be off till Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then it's a double dip on Monday. We'll be on at 2 p.m. Eastern with our regular show next Monday for Game 4, and then the Betcast at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Monday night for Game 4. So looking forward to that. Reminder, download the Ice Guys podcast. If you can't watch on YouTube, the Ice Guys podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeart. On all those audio platforms, you can download the Ice Guys podcast. For Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, and our special guest, Grant Arnold, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, and good luck with all of your bets. We'll see you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys Stanley Cup Final edition, presented by the Hockey Podcast